Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be focusing on the trunk in this custom pipeline style welding bed. We've got some 12 gauge plate that Stillwater Steel broke for us. Broke just means bend. I bent these lips up and they sheared us some ends to go on each end. I'll take my MIG welder and just run a bead here, but I'll probably leave a little space in the bottom so water can get out, and then I'll just stitch weld it on the bottom side also, again, so water can leak out, because this is not going to be a waterproof trunk. The trunk is basically for jack stands. If you're primarily mainlining, you don't hardly ever use your jack stands, and some companies actually supply jack stands, so that's why we put them in the trunk. But you could also use your trunk for odds and ends stuff like I do nowadays. I don't even have jack stands in mine. I just put whatever down there. But I got to put those two plates on the end of this piece, and then I've got some 2 square 3/16 that I've got to put on top of our 4-inch channel on either side here, because part of this 2 square, about a 1/2 inch or so, is going to stick out on the top here. So whenever we put our top deck on, this square tubing will act as a lip to hold our lid that's over here. We'll get to that here in a little bit. If you're new to the channel, check out our website and our online store at arosswelding.com. So normally Stillwater Steel shears everything to where I have a corner to weld in. So I'm going to go corner to corner on all these plates. Trunk should hold at least 4 regular size Sumner fold-up jack stands. I'm not sure if it'll fit a B and B, it might, but I know for sure it'll hold a Sumner. Boy, now that is a nasty cut. The top deck. So I had Stillwater Steel burn this out. That way my lid would be, wouldn't warp and stuff, since I don't have a plasma. And it fits pretty good. We'll get this all clamped down and tacked up, and then we'll drop our trunk in there and see if our bolt holes line up. I cut holes in the pan of our trunk so we could access these 2 bed bolts right here. So hopefully those line up. We got our square tubing sticking out roughly 1/2 inch like I was talking about to catch the lid that's right over here. We'll put it on after we get our pan in there. Ooh, doggy. Tack that pan right here to this square tubing all the way around. Shoot, moving right along, baby, moving right along. All right, now that I've got my trunk pan tacked in, I'm going to get these gas shocks ready. So the ones that I ordered did not come with little plates on the end. They come with the little ball joints where the way these were made, I was able to unscrew them. And the plates that came with the gas shock, I've just been cutting a section out. I'm utilizing this plate, and I've been TIG welding it to this bolt that also came with the gas shock, and then to make a plate on each end to make it look like this. And then I just screw the nut onto the threaded ends that are already on. Obviously this is just one option. I had already ordered them, so I wanted to use them, but I could just order different ones. I could send these back and order different ones because they make them with tabs already on them, but this is just the route I'm going. So good little opportunity to do a little TIG welding, just mild steel TIG welding. And so that's what I've been doing. I got one done. I'm fixing to do another one, and then we'll get our lid set up here. I'll have to make some other tabs for these to bolt to. One down in the bottom of the trunk, and then one on the lid on each side. I put one of these on my truck to test it out because my trunk shocks had gotten weak. That's one thing I don't particularly like about gas shocks is they wear out and you got to replace them. That's why on my toolboxes I ended up just putting an old school, just a prop, just a piece of cold roll that props up to hold my lid open. It's very practical, but with a trunk that is 1/4 inch thick, roughly 2 foot by 2.5 foot, it's handy to have to just pop your latch and have it come up, you know. So for the trunk, I really wanted to try some heavy powered shocks. I'll have to decide what hinges I'm going to use, and I'll show you the hinges I'm going to use here in a minute. See how hot it gets so quick? Don't need the magnet no more. And the challenge with these little pieces is trying not to get the weld, because there's a gap in my nut here. There's a gap on each side. So one of the reasons I'm using TIG is so I can try to keep that metal from penetrating. I don't want it to penetrate because I want to still use these threads to screw on to the end of our gas shock. I should have done this before I pulled this plate, before I laid this top deck, but I didn't, so we're going to do it now. I'm just going to take and drill some holes kind of closer to the inside edge of this whole thing. That way I can put a tack weld in there and keep this little 1 3/8 strap from pulling up, because we're going to weld it back here, but I'm not going to put any weld on the inside on the account of the lid has to set right in there, so I don't want any weld in here. So to keep that down, I'm going to drill a hole and then fill that hole in with weld to keep it secured to the square tubing that's underneath. Alright, so I've got one drilled, and as you can see, I tried not to go all the way through the square tubing because I want my weld to stick to the square tubing. That's what I'm saying whenever I say I should have drilled the holes before I put it on here. But these are some nice drill bits. I got them from a local store called Kennan's in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Let me take you over there. They're this brand right here, and I absolutely love them, the way they're made there on the end, because they don't walk like a traditional drill bit. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish drilling all those, put some spot welds in there, sand it down, and then we will start with our hinges. I'm either going to go with this style of hinge, but I'm going to most likely cut these plates off and do them a little different, most likely, or I'll do what I did on my truck and just do a basic flat hinge. Got them all plug welded. Now we'll sand them down and we'll be ready for hinges. First thing we're going to do, tack some handles on here so I can move this thing around. And then we'll set it in there and then look at it. There we go, boys. All right. Now, right there's pretty all right. I mean, that just fits better, feels better. Woo. Okay, so I'm gonna get her centered in here and then decide on my hinges. I think I'm gonna modify them heavy duty ones, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so all I've done is cut these plates off these hinges. They were on here like so. I cut them off and we're gonna move them out here. That way it's flush like so. That way it works properly with this style of lid. All right, so we got our latch cut in. Now I'm fixing to mark these holes and drill these. They're 3/16 holes, but I'll probably make them a 1/4 inch. But the soapstone that we carry in the Aross Welding store, in previous videos, I've said that they are nice because they're real thin. And I said you very rarely have to sharpen them. Well, this is an example of the rarity that you got to sharpen them, just so I can fit inside these little holes. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks for coming along with me today. If you're new around here, or even if you're not new around here and you have any questions, you can text me or my wife at 405-643-7176. You can also go to our website to shop our online store, where you can find the soapstone that I talked about earlier. And remember, learn something every day.